Jannik Sinner's decision to skip the Montreal Masters sparked a wave of criticism, but now, a legendary coach has stepped in with a powerful defense that could change everything. What did the tennis icon reveal? And why does he believe Sinner made the right call? Let's break it all down. Jannik Sinner just made a decision that nobody saw coming, and it's already splitting the tennis world in half. The world number one has pulled out of the Montreal Masters, and with that single announcement, he's walked away from a shot at something no man has ever done in the history of this sport. Before you scroll past this thinking it's just another withdrawal, stick with me, because the story behind this decision is way bigger than one missed tournament. Let's rewind for a second so you understand exactly what's at stake here. Sinner opened 2026 like a man possessed. Indian Wells, gone. Miami, gone. Then he took his war on clay, running through Monte Carlo, Madrid, and Rome without blinking. 5 Masters, 1,000 titles in a row, on 3 different surfaces, against every contender the tour could throw at him. Somewhere along the way, tennis fans started doing the math. 9 Masters, 1,000 events exist in a single calendar year. Sinner had won 5 straight. Suddenly, a conversation that used to be pure fantasy became something people were actually debating with a straight face. Could this guy sweep every single Masters title in one season? Nobody in the Open era has ever done it. Not Federer at his peak. Not Nadal on his beloved clay. Not even Djokovic, the most decorated player of all time. If Sinner pulled it off, we wouldn't just be talking about a great season. We'd be talking about the single greatest sustained run in the modern history of the sport. Then came Roland Garros, and the cracks started to show. After stacking one brutal clay swing on top of another, Sinner walked into Paris running on fumes and went out early, battling cramps that told the story before the scoreboard did. It was the first real signal that a body, even one performing at this level, has limits. Critics pointed at the calendar. Some blamed the workload. Sinner didn't make excuses. He went quiet, reset, and came back at Wimbledon looking like a completely different player, dismantling Djokovic in the semifinal and then beating Alexander Zverev in the final to defend his title on grass. It looked, for a moment, like the warning signs from Paris were behind him. And that's exactly why this Montreal news hit so hard. Sinner had actually been entered in the tournament. His name was sitting right there on the official player list alongside Zverev and hometown favorite Felix Auger-Aliassime. Fans were already picturing him lifting a 6th straight Masters trophy on Canadian soil. Then, without much warning, Tennis Canada confirmed it. Sinner was out. And he wasn't alone. Novak Djokovic withdrew from the very same tournament, leaving the draw without its 2 biggest icons before a single ball had even been served. Add in the fact that Carlos Alcaraz was already sidelined with a wrist injury that kept him out of both the French Open and Wimbledon, and Montreal suddenly lost basically its entire marquee lineup in the span of one announcement. In his own statement, Sinner didn't dance around it or dress it up. He said his team looked at everything together, weighed it all carefully, and decided that walking away from Montreal was the right call for his long-term health. He admitted it wasn't an easy choice, that missing an event this important stings, but that protecting his body had to come first. No dramatic injury reveal, no vague excuse, just an honest acknowledgement that even the best player on the planet has a breaking point, and he'd rather respect it than test it. Naturally, not everyone reacted with sympathy. Some fans and pundits didn't hold back, calling the mass withdrawal a disaster for the tournament and for the sport's biggest name. Skipping a Masters event fans had been building excitement around for weeks. But not everyone piled on. Legendary coach Rick Macci jumped to Sinner's defense on social media, making a point that's easy to miss from the outside. He argued that Sinner's situation isn't comparable to anyone else's on tour, because Sinner is expected to win every single time he steps on court. That's a mental weight most competitors never have to carry. Staying locked in, staying hungry, staying dangerous in every match while the whole sport expects nothing less than victory, that's an exhausting kind of pressure that eats away at you long before your legs ever do. Macci called it real mental magic that Sinner has been able to sustain that level for as long as he has, and honestly, it's hard to argue with him. Here's the part that really puts this whole situation in perspective. Sinner walks away from Montreal with a season record of 44 wins and just 3 losses, 6 titles already banked, and 5 Masters 1,000 trophies won back-to-back before this decision. That's not a slump. That's not a player running from competition. That's a champion making a calculated, unemotional business decision about where to spend his energy for the rest of the year. And where he's spending it next is Cincinnati, the exact tournament that sits right before the US Open on the calendar, followed immediately by his defense of the year's final Grand Slam in New York. So yes, the dream of a perfect 9-for-9 Masters sweep is officially dead for this season, and realistically, given how packed and physically brutal this calendar has become, it might be a very long time before anyone gets remotely close to that mark again. But maybe that was never really the point. Maybe the real story here isn't about a record that got away. It's about a 24-year-old at the absolute top of his sport choosing longevity over legacy chasing, choosing his body over the noise of public expectation, and betting that a fresher, sharper version of himself in Cincinnati and New York matters more than one more trophy in Montreal. Tennis Canada wasn't thrilled, and there are already conversations happening between the tour and organizers about how to protect these tournaments without burning out the players who make them worth watching in the first place. That tension isn't going away anytime soon. But for Sinner, the priority right now is simple: recover, reset, and arrive at the US Open ready to defend his position as the best player in the world on the sport's biggest remaining stage. So here's the real question worth sitting with. Was skipping Montreal the smartest move of Sinner's season, or did he just hand away a shot at history he'll never get back? Drop your take in the comments, because this debate is only getting louder from here.